Good morning. Welcome back to the Retirement Report. I'm Hank Parrott, your host. We were talking about, again, the different stages of retirement. We're going to get into the early retirement years next. We were talking about pre-retirement years. One thing I want to touch on as well is understand, we talked about Social Security, different things, but also your company benefits. This is a time when you really need to understand, how those are going to work. When you're pre-retirement, leading into retirement, you're going to have all these choices to make, when to take Social Security, at what age should I start, Medicare, what choices do I make there, and then those company benefits. Are you going to have a pension? If not, are you going to have an option maybe between getting a payout over time or a lump sum pension, and how do you make the right choice there? That's a difficult one, because if you take the payments, right, and they stay the same, there's no adjustment for inflation, then over time the purchasing power of those dollars is going down, and that's going to affect your lifestyle. Or potentially, it's going to cause you, at the very least, to have to use more of your savings to fill in that gap. So that's something, again, when you're planning for retirement, you have to consider all of these things. And the next is, well, if I take the lump sum, and going back to, if I take that payout, one, over time, right, to decreasing the spending power, but the other, God forbid, I pass, and maybe you have one of those that your spouse is only going to get 55% of what you were getting. And how is that going to affect them if all of a sudden that income, that pension income, is cut in half? Both of your pass, and God forbid early on, now that money that you had, would have had still as an asset is gone. And this is where a lump sum pension might make more sense. And we weigh it for you, help you ascertain which, in fact, is the best. So it's not like a one-size-fits-all. It's all depending on your lifestyle and a number of different factors. But we can help you figure it out. And maybe that lump sum allows you now to have the income that you need, but have it increase over time, right? And if you pass, that income should stay the same for the surviving spouse, right? And when both are gone, there's still an asset there, hopefully anyway, right, to go to your children. So there's a lot of different ways to weigh in on that. Making the comparison in your specific situation, we can help you with that. Again, just call the office for some help there. All right, let's get into these early retirement years. This is, now you have some other milestones happening, right? First off, you're just retiring, so this might be the time when you start checking off that bucket list, right? You start talking about, where you want to do, what kind of things you might want to do, things you've maybe put off. Maybe you want to take up a new hobby. Maybe it's, again, about travel, going to see the places that you've got now the time to go do more. Transition from a retirement savings plan now to a spending plan. This is, now we're not pumping that money into those accounts, and this is where I was talking about the early part of the show about sequence of returns risk. This is where this comes in, right? When you're saving for retirement, if the market goes through the volatility we're seeing now and you keep putting money in every month, right, what happens? Well, the shares prices are down, so you're buying cheaper shares. You're getting more shares for the same amount of money. When the market turns, that's going to position you to recover even faster from a downturn in the market, as well as you're going to have more shares. That means you're going to have more money. So, but what happens when you're retired? Right now, you're not taking money, or you're not rather putting money into those accounts. You're taking money out of the accounts to live on. And as you're taking money out, when the market goes down like this, if you're taking it out of a portfolio in the market, well, gosh, what's going on, right? Those share prices have dropped, so you have to sell more shares to get the same amount of money. Okay, and what does that do? Then when the market does finally turn, let's say it hits we're just seeing volatility right now, but say it goes into a bear market, and it drops 30, 40, 50%, and you're taking income out, and it's going to position you to where you're going to have fewer shares because you have to sell more shares, get the same amount of income, right? And now when the market bottoms and does turn up, you have fewer shares. It's harder to recover. It actually puts you at a greater risk to run out of money in retirement as well. So having a good income plan is so critical here, and understanding that sequence of return risk is a big part, because now we're going to, again, transition from a retirement savings plan to a retirement spending plan. Regular reviews of financial plans for inflation and market changes, and just what's going on. Life happens. You need regular regular check-ins just to make sure you're staying on course, and as life happens, as different things come your way, that your plan can adapt to those and protect your income and keep your lifestyle throughout. So this again, with my clients, we meet typically a couple of times a year, some more frequently depending on their overall situation. And then we always, if there's something happening in your life that's going to cause a change, we want to meet and talk about that as well. Eligibility for Medicare, this is one of the other milestones at age 65. So questions for your advisor. How do you make your savings last? Right? How are you going to make sure you don't run out of money during your lifetime? It's all of us, it's one of our biggest fears. Is my investment mix organized to generate the income I need in retirement? And that's the other part. How you invest. So you may have money in the market, right? But then you also may have a different plan. Maybe you're pulling income from those portfolios, but you have to watch your volatility. You might want to be more conservative for the income part. You may look at other alternatives that can help with that, one of those being annuities, and we'll talk about annuities a little bit. Annuities, there's good, bad, and ugly, if you will, when it comes to annuities. So understanding how they work, which ones may be best for you, is a big part of that as well, and can help you get that nice stable income you need in retirement. And they're becoming more and more recommended, not only through government organizations, but in the private sector. They've added them now as part of this, I think it was part of this Cure Act, in fact, but basically making annuities available through 401ks. So you'll probably see that coming in the next few years. And then how do you plan for the unexpected? This is another, having an emergency fund. What are the possible ways to manage inflation? All right, how do you stay ahead, in particular today, right, when we're seeing inflation running as hot as it is? How do you make sure your money is keeping up with that? And then how can you use Medicare to help pay for your health care needs? Understanding how Medicare works, the good and the bad, the ugly there as well, if you will. I mean, the pros and cons, and helping choose the right plan, and then managing that. And over time, keep checking in to see if the plan you've elected is still the best plan. It's a good idea to shop these things, just like with any insurance, on a regular basis, maybe, every 3 to 5 years at least. All right, now, let's take a look at those later retirement years. Now you've been retired for a bit. This reminds me of an economist, Tom Hegna. And Tom, I love the terms, the way he put it. He would describe those early retirement years as the go-go years, when you're, in particular, as you're heading into retirement and you're going to have more free time in those early retirement years, and you've got your health, hopefully, and resources. Go, go, go. This is when I say you're checking off the bucket list, you're doing a bunch of different things there. Maybe it's about, I'm going to focus in on the house and do a renovation, remodel, maybe, sell that house and get another house. And all of those kind of things are part of those go-go years and getting set up in retirement. And then he talked about the middle area where he called those the slow-go years. As you got out there, now you've done a lot of that stuff, and you're starting to, slow down a little bit and maybe nest a little more, and the routines change a little bit. And in the later retirement years, now here they're saying mid-70s, that could be even later for some, maybe into your 80s, you're talking about the no-go years. That's where we're nesting, we're basically staying at home more, and that's where a lot of times, having that house done the way we want it, and maybe we, take another look, do a little remodeling or renovating, who knows. But all of that, these are different stages, and give thought to what that's going to look like for you, and then planning for it to get the most out of it. So more time, in the later retirement years, is talking about here, more time spent close to home. Health challenge may begin to surface that may, restrict the kinds of things you can do. Again, planning for legacy, gifts to charities, loved ones, college savings account for grandchildren. A lot of that you may already have in place, but you might start pumping it up a little bit more. And now here's some questions for your advisor. Is inflation affecting my savings? Are there ways to boost my retirement income to keep up with inflation? And what are ways, because keep in mind that purchasing power. They call, remember the old commercials when they talked about high blood pressure being the silent killer? right? Well, when it comes to your finances, inflation is that silent killer. And if you don't have a plan, in particular, we're seeing, with how high inflation is running right now, it's so important to have a plan. And how well is the Fed going to handle getting us out of this mess? That's going to be another big question, and we're all going to see that play out in upcoming months, starting probably in March. So be paying attention, and also this is a good time, knowing about all the uncertainties out there. Maybe it's a time to get a second opinion of what you're doing currently. So if you sit down and talk to your advisor, or if maybe you'd like a second set of eyes, or maybe you don't have an advisor that deals with all these things, call my office. The number is 615-376-5325. We can do a comprehensive financial plan for you, so I can deal with all the different things I'm talking to you about in that planning, so you can have a personalized plan for your specific situation. So if you'd like to get a comprehensive financial plan done at no cost, right? I'm willing to spend some time on you, right, to invest some time in you. It's a great way for us to get to know each other. You'll see the type of services we provide our clients. Maybe you'll want to become a client. There's no obligation, though. I'm happy to help you with your planning and get you on the right foot, regardless of what the outcome may be, whether you want to become a client or not. I'm going to, again, no obligation. Just give us a call, 615-376-5325. And when you call in, we'll get your information. We'll send you out a checklist of things to bring to your appointment with me. And keep in mind, we're going to be looking at, again, what your income is prior to retirement, or if you're already in retirement, and what it will be in retirement, what your expenses are, and how they might increase, right? That fund money, again, liabilities, if any, and of course, assets and rates of return and inflation and taxes. We deal with all of that to give you something that's really valuable to you, that's going to help you get off on the right foot. So again, 615-376-5325. When you come in to see me, I'll also give you a free copy of my book, 7 Steps to Financial Freedom in Retirement. All right, another quick break. Join us here. We'll be right back on the Retirement Report.